So, I'd said there are two reasons why the enemy likes to attack people. And there are two reasons why the enemy likes to make people believe, or rather to cause them to believe that God is not concerned about their issue. There's a reason the enemy is attacking your faith. I'd only looked at the first reason last time. And I said it is because the Bible says without faith, it is impossible to please God. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. That was in Hebrews 11:6. So now you understand why the enemy wants believers to doubt God, because without that faith, we cannot please God. And so, it is important that we have faith, because without it, we cannot please God. So today we look at the second reason why the enemy likes to attack our faith. The second reason is because the mind is the greatest battlefield. I'll repeat that. The mind is the greatest battlefield. So when the enemy is attacking our mind, our faith, in order for us not to believe God, because you see, for you to believe God, for you to trust God, it means your thoughts, your mind, you've made up your mind that I'm going in this thing with God. So the reason the enemy is attacking that faith is because he knows that your mind is the greatest battlefield. The greatest battle area for a believer is not your hands. It is not your muscles. You can have muscles. You can be somebody who goes to the gym and you lift weights. That's okay. But I'm telling you, in this spirit world that we operate in, it is not your muscles that intimidate the enemy. It is your prayer muscles, your spiritual muscles. How much faith do you have? And so the enemy knows that if your mind begins to wander, that if your mind begins to doubt, he has won the battle. Because it is impossible to please God without faith, number one. Number two, your mind is the greatest battlefield. So the enemy knows if he can get you to think wrongly. You see, your mind is the engine. I want you to imagine a car trying to go when the engine is faulty, when the engine is not working. That car is as good as dead. When the engine is broken, when the engine has knocked, that car is over. Because a car is actually the engine. It is not the body. A car cannot move without the engine. That so long as the body is beautiful, the car will go. Without the engine, that car is over. The engine of a believer, the enemy knows, is your mind. Because your mind is the one that speaks things to you. Your mind is the one that will tell you this cannot work. Your mind is the one that will tell you God has lied to you. And so once your mind has been attacked, and once your mind is not thinking properly, there is no way you can have faith. So the enemy knows that, and he knows that if we do not have a made-up mind of believing God, then nothing we say matters. There's a time a friend of mine was telling me, "Hey Kelvin, yesterday I was just praying the whole night." He was praying over a certain issue. So in the morning, that issue had not come to pass the way he was expecting. And I got concerned, and I was asking God, I know you as a faithful God. He has told us in Jeremiah 33 that call unto me, and I will show you great and unsearchable things. So I knew God is faithful. But why was God not answering this person? And I was confused, and I was telling the person, "You said you prayed the whole night." He told me yes. And I was wondering, praying the whole night and that thing didn't materialize. Is it that God didn't want it to happen? Then I just prayed and asked God, show me, what am I missing here? And the Lord answered me. The Lord just put it in my heart. The Lord prompted me and showed me that he wasn't really praying per se. He was babbling words because he was having panic attacks. And he was anxious. So you see, when somebody is anxious and when somebody is panicking, they just babble words because they are afraid. God, what if they come and I don't have that money? What if the auctioneer? So you might actually think you are praying. But the truth is, you are babbling words. You are just anxious. You are tensed. And so whatever he was calling prayer the whole night was actually worrying the whole night. He was worried the whole night. He was just worried. He was afraid. What if this thing doesn't work? What if God A, B, C, D? Be very careful that you're not a Christian who thinks you have been praying and trusting God. Well, in real sense, you have been worried and having panic attacks. There is a pastor who was saying that one day they were at the airport. They were waiting for a certain flight. And then the flight was delayed for almost 2 hours. So this pastor was saying, he took a newspaper. He took something and he started to read very calmly. But the friend was pacing up and about. You know, he was like, what? He was looking at his watch. What is wrong with these people? And complaining and doing up and down, until after 2 hours finally. And then this person said, hey, finally, we have been waiting here patiently for 2 hours. Then this pastor corrected him. This pastor told him, no, don't say you have been waiting here. Don't say we have been waiting patiently for 2 hours. He told him, you have not been waiting patiently. You have been waiting complaining. You are not patient. Patient is the person who took a newspaper, breathed in and out, and said, it's okay, I'll wait. There are Christians who do not know how to wait on God. You are waiting on God, but you are complaining. You are waiting on God, but you are fasting on people and telling people, hata mwezi nisaidia, what is wrong with people? Don't ever say you are waiting patiently if you are complaining. The devil has attacked your faith. You are now a bitter Christian. Every person you meet, you are telling them how life is difficult. Every person you meet, you are telling them how ministry is difficult. You keep complaining. And then you are saying, I'm just waiting for God. I've been waiting patiently for 5 years. My friend, you have not been waiting patiently for 5 years. You've been waiting, grumbling for 5 years. There are people who have waited on God for 12 years. There's a woman who prayed for her husband for 22 good years for the husband to quit alcohol. The husband was a serious drunkard. After 22 years, that's when the prayer was answered. This woman never complained. She never used to grumble and quarrel God and quarrel the husband. She persevered for 22 good years. My question is, can you wait like Abraham? He waited for 25 years. Actually 24. Because when the promise came, Abraham was 75 years old. But the baby came when he was 99. That's 24 years later. I'm telling you, there are Christians after waiting for 4 years. Hey, you can think they have waited for 100 years. The way they talk. I've been waiting on this miracle for so long. Now what of the people who've been waiting for 30 years? What will they say? Do you know there are people who have been waiting on God for over 30 years? A certain issue they have prayed for, and they have said, Father, by the time I die, I know within the course of my lifetime, I will see the salvation of Kenya. There are people who've been waiting on God for 40 years. And you're waiting on God for 4 years and you're complaining. And you're grumbling. And you're telling God, if you don't come this time, I will go. Never make a mistake of threatening God. I want to tell you, we've been there. We have been there. You threaten God and you tell God, Father, if this thing does not happen by Monday, hey, you will see. I'm telling you, Monday comes. Nothing happens. And it's like you can hear God asking you, what will you do? And by Tuesday, you are back telling God, God, I'm sorry, I was just joking. You cannot threaten God. You just wait on God. He will do it at his time. Don't threaten God. In his time, he makes all things beautiful. Can you trust that God will make that thing beautiful at his perfect time? God knows. He knows when you are ready. God knows when that thing will not kill you. There are people who wanted a miracle too soon. And God looked at you, looked at your muscles, and said no. I remember there's a friend. He wanted to go and study abroad. And he was telling me, Kelvin, everything was set. The school had accepted him. Everything was set. But the parents called him and told him, no, we know you. You cannot do well abroad. That school you have chosen, no way. And so they placed him in a university here in Kenya. I'm telling you, that boy cried. He was telling me, Kelvin, this is so unfair. My parents can afford. Why can't they just allow me to go? Do you know, 2 years later, this boy was telling me he realized that was the best decision. After studying in a Kenyan university, he told me, Kelvin, if I would have gone abroad, believe me, I would either come back as a dead body, I would just be picked from the airport as a corpse, or I would be a drug junkie or something. There are things we cry, thinking God has denied us. But God knows, if I give you this thing now, this thing will kill you. So can you believe that God has your best interest at heart? And as the topic says, only believe. Only believe. Jesus told them, if you believe, you will say to this mountain, be moved from here and thrown into the sea, and it will obey. Can you believe God? Because it will happen. Only believe. Do not doubt. Only believe. So, I've told you the 2 reasons why the enemy likes to attack the Christian faith. He knows if you don't have it in the first place, you cannot please God. And he also knows when your faith is attacked, it will tamper with your mind. And as I've said, the mind is the greatest battlefield. You know, there's this experiment that was carried out very early, I think in the 1800s. And it shocked me that such an experiment turned out the way it turned out. It went to show the power of the brain, or rather of the mind. I don't know how true that story was, but documents were released to support that the story was true. That a team of scientists took a certain man, think he was a prisoner, and they put him in a fridge. These big freezers, the ones that they used for storing the flowers. You know those people who sell flowers in bulk? They have those very big, huge freezers that can be the size of this entire room. So they told this person, because of your punishment, we are going to lock you in that fridge and you will freeze to death. And so they threw him there. And they left him overnight. And when they came back in the morning, they found that man coiled in a corner. He had actually frozen to death. What was amazing was that this fridge was not even functional. It was a broken fridge. It was a fridge that was not working. But in the mind of this prisoner, the fridge was working. So it froze him to death in his mind because he believed he is in a fridge and it is cold, until he believed that report. And that report became a reality to him. And he froze to death inside a fridge that is not even working. That is the power of believing. I'm telling you, if you believe, you are sick. If two people meet you in the morning and tell you, hey, you look sick, and then the third person comes and tell you, hey, you look sick, I want to assure you, you will start to feel sick because your mind has started to believe. Maybe these people are seeing something I'm not seeing. That's why I'm telling you, you must believe that God is a rewarder to those who come to him and diligently seek him. You must believe it and not doubt. I believe with all my heart that God is going to reward me. I believe it. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. When will God do this thing? Because I know he will do it. If you believe and do not doubt. Now, there are people who have prayed. There are people who have said, Pastor Kelvin, I trusted God, but God did not come through for me. What could be the problem? I also want to finish by telling you two reasons why. Sometimes people pray so hard. Sometimes people seek God so hard, but the prayer never comes the way they were expecting. You know, that used to be the thing that confused me for the longest time in ministry. I could see somebody who was faithful in their prayer. I could see somebody who was faithful in their tithe. You see a mother who is always very warm in church, very faithful in everything, coming to church very early, cleaning the tables, cleaning the chairs. I'm telling you, sometimes you don't understand. God, why didn't you help this person? I've seen mothers who trusted God 100% for God to heal their children, but their children died. I've seen people at the ICU pray for a loved one very faithfully. I know a family that fasted for 3 days, but after 3 days their loved one died. And I used to ask God, what is that? I don't get it. Is it that they have a sin? And God gave me those two reasons, which are always with me up to date. That sometimes when you see people seeking God so diligently, but the answer comes in another way. Reason number one is because God is sovereign. So he reserves the right to say yes or no. I'll repeat that. God is sovereign. So he has the right to say yes or no. You see, if every time Pastor Kelvin prays, things happen. If every time I pray, things happen, 100% without fail, what will happen is I'll become a god. I'll become a god in Kenya. People will start bowing to me. I'm telling you, people will be at my house. There was a guy, the other one was selling a herb. I'm forgetting the name. Wauko ilikuwa Londiani. There was a queue. Everyone was going to him because he had a herb whereby he mixes that herb, and when you drink it, you are healed, whatever disease you have. Now he became an altar. That is why at some point it was frustrated. It couldn't work forever because God knows if Pastor Kelvin prays every time and it works all the time, people will form an idol of me. You'll be meeting people in the streets talking, and they'll be saying, hey, our pastor, akikuombea. Hey, when our pastor just touches you like this, you are healed. So glory will now not go to God. Glory will go to the pastor. That's why no matter how anointed a man of God is, there's a time you will pray, and I'm telling you, it will backfire so badly, you'll be embarrassed. And through that embarrassment, we are reminded that we are mortal, we are mere human beings. That's why there are people who can pray diligently, but still get a no. Because God is sovereign. He reserves the right to say yes or no. Reason number two. why you can see people crying out with all their heart. And because you see, I'm talking about the topic only believe. So there are people who think once you believe, everything in my life will be perfect. Reason number 2 is sometimes you can diligently seek God and things still don't turn out the way you wanted. Reason number 2 is because God is the one who knows every individual. I'll repeat that. God is the one who knows every individual. I'm telling you, there are Christians who are like Jonah. God told them to go to Nineveh and they refused. Wakasema hai mimi siwezi. So for you, you are there feeling sympathy, saying, why can't God answer Pastor so and so? Let me tell you, God knows their story that you do not know. God knows the way this person is rebellious. After I learned this secret, let me tell you, friends, I stopped feeling so sorry for people. When God does something with them, I realized God must know what he's doing. Please, never think that God is unfaithful. When you see God not answering a man or a woman in a certain area, believe you me, there is something God knows that you do not know. Do you know there are Christians who are even thieves in the church? They steal from the treasury of the church. And then for you, you are busy saying, I wonder why God did not bless Mrs. Peter. I wonder why God did not bless the Smiths. That family looks so humble. Hey, you don't know them, my friend. You do not live with them. At night, the husband maybe slaps that woman like nothing else. But they come to church and they lift their hands. There was a couple that used to come to church wearing matching kitenges, matching dresses. Their coats were matching. Even the handkerchief was the same color. Everybody used to admire this couple. Then one day, the pastor finds their child, 7-year-old boy, praying in the Sunday school classroom, telling God, Father, help my daddy to stop beating mommy. And the pastor was so shocked. After the boy finished prayer, the pastor called the boy and asked the boy, what did you say? Daddy beats mommy? And the boy was shy at first, and the pastor told him, it's okay, you can open up. The pastor could not believe. The couple of the year, those ones who were matching everything. So the pastor went and found the couple worshipping, and he told them, after you finish worshipping, please come to my office. And the couple were in the office thinking it is usual church business. And the pastor just asked the man, for how long have you been beating your wife? And they were so shocked. How did the pastor find out? So I'm telling you, some people are big pretenders. Some people think that you can fool God. You can't. You can fool us as men, and we will not understand why God is not blessing you. We might think God is being unfair. But God knows you. He knows he told you like Jonah to go somewhere and you've refused. Some of you, God has told you to leave that man. He's a married man, you've refused. But you are busy stressing the pastor with prayer items. Man of God, pray for me to get a husband. And you see, we are wondering why such a beautiful lady like you is not getting a man. It is because you are a Jonah. There is something God has told you to stop. You have refused. So have you caught those two reasons why somebody might pray their heart out and still nothing happens? It is because, number one, God is sovereign. He reserves the right to say yes or no. Number two, God knows each and every individual. You might think you know that person. Believe you me, you do not even know a quarter of their story. Some Christians, God has told them to deal with their temper, they have refused. I've sat down with mothers who have told me, Pastor Kelvin, don't talk to me about my ex-husband. We'd rather talk about anything else. And you can even see their faces changing. They're even becoming angry. And they're telling me, Pastor Kelvin, if you do not want to spoil my moods, do not talk about that man. That man is a devil. And I'm trying to tell them, don't you know the Bible says that if you have anything against your brother, when you're bringing your sacrifice, leave your sacrifice there. Go and make peace with your brother. When I try to tell them this, they don't want to hear. They tell me, hey, That one God will forgive me. That one Mungu anisamee. That one I cannot forgive. That one, that man is a... And so you wonder. No wonder this woman is in church and she's not getting answers. No wonder some men are in church and they're not getting breakthrough. Because when I ask them, when was the last time you spoke with your father? They tell you, hey Kelvin, mambo ya baba yangu achana nayo. I hate my dad. My dad married a second woman. And do you know there are people who are not sending their parents money because their dad married a second wife? And so now they are angry, as if they are the first ones to come from a polygamous family. Now you have moods. You have mood swings. Those people should not call me. Why did he do that to my mother? That one is his. Even if my dad marries a third wife, I will still bless him. He still remains my father. I'm telling you, if you would know the things Christians are harboring, the bitterness, no wonder their prayers are not being answered. So stop sympathizing with people and crying with people who are hypocrites. They are making you waste your tears. Leave God to deal with them scathlessly. Okay? Stop sympathizing with Jonas. They've been told to go to Nineveh, they are running away. They are going to Tarshish. Wacha waende wamezu huko na samaki hadi wapate funzo. Let people go and get caught with whales. There's a sermon I once preached. It was called, Let the Pigs Do the Talking. Sometimes you have to let the pigs do the talking. When the prodigal son thought he was being harassed, the father told him, okay, here's your money, enda. The young man went and realized, you know what, home is better. After he went and stayed with the pigs, he realized home was better. There are people after going away thinking Pastor Kelvin was harsh. They realized home was better. Sometimes I allow the pigs to go do the talking. If you don't want to listen to what I'm telling you, I release you. May the pigs go and teach you. Because it is either you are taught gently or you are taught roughly like the prodigal son. I pray may it not be rough for you. Just hear what God is saying today. The Lord bless you. Only believe. Let's interact on Facebook, Kelvin Obonyo. Until next time, bye. Have a wonderful time.